2-for-1, centered around teams that have 2 picks in the first round. Let's start with Dallas. The Cowboys are at 12-20. What should we be expecting from Jerry Jones's team?
Greeny, it's a numbers game. They need a defensive player. You're looking at Mansour Delane right here. This is the top corner in the draft and potentially the only corner that will go in the first round on Thursday. Ruben Bain is another player. There's only a few pass rushers with a first-round grade. And you could also talk about Caleb Downs. These are 3 guys the Cowboys might have to trade up from 12 into the top 10 to ensure that they get at least one of these blue-chip players in a draft that is very strange but not loaded with defensive talent.
You are my general manager, Mike T. Would you be trading up if you're the Cowboys?
No, no, and no. We don't pick until pick 92, so we have so many holes, Greedy, at all 3 levels of the defense. We are not 1 player away. Those are all really good players, Peter, but we got to stick and pick at 12 and 20. If anything, we want to trade back a little bit so we don't watch 72 players go off the board until we pick again.
They don't have a second-round pick is the point we're making here, so they pick 12 and then 20, and then again, as Mike says, not till 92. Another team that has 2 first-round picks, the New York Jets at 2-16. What are we hearing about them?
Well, Jets fans, you like hearing this. There is nobody talking out of the Jets building. I could say this having covered the league for many years. This is the first time I can say this, that there are absolutely no leaks out of Florham Park. And yet everyone seems to think it's Arvell Reese. Guess what? The rest of the league doesn't feel that way. David Bailey is still very much in play at number 2, so much so that when I put out my mock draft tomorrow morning, which is my last and final one, I will be having David Bailey as the number 2 overall pick and not Arvell Reese, who you're seeing all over the internet now being
but is it Arvell
the top
Reese
guy.
Maybe the better prospect, though, not the pass rusher?
That is a perfect way to put it, Michael Wilbon. He might be the better prospect. He's 20 years old and has all the long-term stuff. David Bailey had 14.5 sacks and is the better player right now.
And when you have a coach who probably needs to win games quickly, you want a guy who knows what he's doing immediately. Bailey with a more polished pass rush game than Arvell Reese has. The Jets also pick at 16. Do you want to see them do a little wheeling and dealing, maybe move around a little bit for a play?
I wouldn't mind them moving up for a wide receiver. The Jets have 4 picks in the top 44. They got plenty of ammo if they feel like one of those premier wide receivers is within grasp. Because I don't know if, the Carnell Tate, Jordan Tyson, or Mekhi Lemons going to make it to him at 16. So they got the ammo to go up and go get a guy.
If not, then we're talking about Omar Cooper, Denzel Boston. There are some wide receivers. We'll see if the Jets want to move around. And then the Giants this weekend join the list of teams that have 2 first-round picks, 5 and 10. Talk to me.
Wheeling and dealing are now real power brokers in this draft. I have Arvell Reese footage here because if the Jets take Bailey, I don't know if Arvell Reese goes 3 or 4, meaning he would be surprisingly on the board at 5 for the Giants. You might say, well, they've got Abdul Carter. They need lots of players, and I think Arvell Reese might be the pick at 5. But that Jordan Tyson smoke that you're hearing, it is real. Joe Shane traveled all the way out to Arizona last week for that workout. He took him out to dinner in Arizona. They went to a restaurant called Uchi. I have the restaurant details, folks. That's how much I'm plugged in on this. That love is real. You don't do that 6 days before the draft if you don't really think Jordan Tyson's a possibility. I would think he's very much in play at 5. And if he's somehow still around at 10, very much in play at 10.
You're worried about it, though, Mike T., because of the injury history.
Right, and there's a great axiom that applies here. Malik Neighbors has all the ability in the world. He is hurt right now. You don't want to get another player at the same position who has durability concerns. And when you look at the data over 20 and 30 years, the one predictor is if you have durability concerns in college and now at a skill position where you're asking them to play 17 games, I would be very concerned that you would have Neighbors on one side coming off a big injury with Jordan Tyson, who has great ability, but his one concern is durability. I would look at someone like Carnell Tate for the Giants.
D-Wood, you're looking at defense and John Harbaugh putting his imprint on a team as he gets his first opportunity.
Absolutely, especially at pick number 5. That's your first pick. You're John Harbaugh. You want to make a statement right out of the gate. This is the New York Football Giants who've been known for defense. I want to get a green dot linebacker in the middle of that defense. Sonny Styles makes all the sense in the world at that particular spot for John Harbaugh.
Why not Styles and Downs? If you want to make an imprint defense, and you're Harbaugh, and you've had those teams you had in Baltimore, Styles and Downs, you load up defensively. What do the Giants go into the next season with, and the season beyond that, if you got both those guys?
It's really interesting with the Giants because for years you knew the org chart, you knew the structure. John Mara is not going to be playing as much of a role due to health concerns. So now you insert Donna Ponte, who worked for the Dolphins and also worked for the league for many years. She is now in an executive role alongside Chris Mara, who is John Mara's, brother, and then you also have, of course, Joe Schoen and John Harbaugh and a whole new coaching staff. So a lot of people around the league are saying, we're not quite sure with the Giants what they're going to do because there's no precedent with this year and how they approach it.
Fair enough. But they got John Harbaugh. They brought him in. They
for
gave
$100
him,
million.
What was the old expression that Parcells said? If you're going to ask him to cook the dinner, you should let him shop for the groceries. We'll see if they wind up doing it. The Giants, they right now control, I think, as much as anybody else in this draft. 5 should be a lock. 10, I think, is an interesting pick. Coming up, we're 2 days away from a draft that could define their season. And hey, Michael Wilbon, stop me if you've heard this before.
Oh, please. Aaron Rodgers alert.
Aaron Rodgers still hasn't made a decision.
Yeah, well, you know what? Didn't we go through this last year?
Oh, and we go through it every year.
And get the clips, as they used to say?
It's like the Swallows going to Capistrano.
How do you really feel about this?
We've got the Wolves and the Nuggets. We are rolling along. That's a lot of words. So anyway, Michael Wilbon, we've got Aaron Rodgers once again. The Steelers are waiting on him. What is your perspective on what we've got going on here?
What are they waiting on? Aaron Rodgers is not LeBron James. He is not the performer at this point of his life in his 40s that LeBron James is in his 40s, and he's not Tom Brady. Stop. Now, if the Steelers want to continue with this charade, and by the way, this feels very scripted.
Oh, gosh.
That he walks out on stage with 700,000 people in Pittsburgh looking on, and they do this live, fine. If you want that, you want to win some games, really? Does Aaron Rodgers want to get hit anymore? It's been duck and run. By the way, this is going to sound like a typical Chicagoan hating on Aaron Rodgers, which may be true on some level. Look, Aaron Rodgers is one of the all-time great players. You can go straight to the Hall of Fame. You're not going anywhere with Aaron Rodgers. What are the Steelers doing? If we not got enough sample size, this is not a small sample size. It's a big sample size. It's covered 5 years and an Achilles tear and whatever else is covered. It's over. Now, people can just do this if they want because it's Aaron Rodgers. I can't believe the Steelers would fall for this again.
But they seem to be, right? Peter, my insider, I turn to you over here. That seems to be their plan. I have heard no indication from anyone. All I do is put my ear to the ground and listen to what you and all our other insiders say. I've not heard one person say the Steelers are seriously considering taking Ty Simpson at 21.
I don't think they're seriously taking Ty Simpson at 21. I also think it's a fool's errand trying to get inside of the head of Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
If you were to ask me back at the league meetings 2 weeks ago, will Aaron Rodgers be a Steeler by the time the draft is, I would say yes. It makes sense. It's only respectful to a team that let you sit all last year and go, like, you owe it to those guys to at least have them. I get the feeling they're under the impression, and listening to Omar and Mike McCarthy yesterday, that, yeah, like, he's coming, but why not just say today, hey, I'm coming? What is the weight? What is the reason to make them hang in the balance? And to Michael Wilbon's point, if he comes out and it's like, and now out of, like, he's CM Punk running out of the gate, I just can't do it. I wouldn't think he would want to take that away from everybody else's night.
We're talking about the starting quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the draft is literally 48 hours away. Look, I was never philosophically a big deadline person because you would lose your credibility if you went past it. But you need to have a deadline here. You have the 21st pick, you have Will Howard, and you have Mason Rudolph. And by the way, you have a left tackle who has a bad neck in Broderick Jones. You absolutely need to know, if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, Aaron Rodgers, are you in or you're out? There's no other information you need, as you mentioned, Mike and Peter, in terms of the season's ended, you take some time off. Are you in or you're out? Because if I'm the Steelers, I am taking Ty Simpson at 21, and I am moving forward. Like, you need a starting quarterback. This is the Steelers. Their owner came out in January and said, we are not rebuilding. We're going to compete every year. I'm hard-pressed to think that we're sitting here in April and you have Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow in your division, and we're going to compete meaningfully with Will Howard and
Mason Rudolph. It's so counter to the history of the Steelers.
Yeah.
Of being sound decision makers, sound judgments over a period now of more than 50 years.
Yep.
I don't even care what Aaron Rodgers is thinking, how long he wants. Why are you putting up with this if you're the Steelers?
They've put themselves in this position, and now, I mean, they've made their bed, now they're sleeping in it. What do you think, D-Wood? How should this thing play out?
I think if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, you need to operate like we don't even have Aaron Rodgers. That's the way you need to operate. Forget all of this stuff about, well, you know, Aaron Rodgers knows how we feel and all that. No, you need to operate like we don't have a quarterback. That's how they need to operate. They need to continue to build this thing, and when they need to draft the quarterback every year. If you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, you draft the quarterback every single year until you find that guy.
We talk about it here in this studio, and I think it makes sensible sense. If you're talking to people, he has all the leverage right now. And he'll come back when he wants to come back.
What leverage does he have?
He has a leverage that they
If you
can't.
have leverage, it means you have something that you can offer that trumps everything else.
Right.
What the hell is that at this point?
Peter,
what is it?
He's going to be 43 in
it would
December.
He has no leverage.
It would be
unless you let him have it.
It would be. I think they've let them have. I think it would be quite the about face to miss out on Kirk Cousins and to miss out on all these different veteran quarterbacks who are making. Kyler Murray's making $1 million. They could have had Kyler Murray. They could have talked to Geno Smith. They could have talked to any. They didn't entertain any of it because they were banking on Rodgers.
You know the crazy thing is,
them hostage right
the crazy thing is, I can't get out of my head the playoff game against the Houston Texans last year where I saw a 41, 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers was scared to get hit in the playoff. That's what you want coming back to your organization right now?
And to D Wood's point, look, I trade for Favre. I work with Dan Marino. Like, those older quarterbacks, they want to know about the protection. You know, you're only going to get hit so many times in your career. If my left tackle has a bad neck in April, that's another thing. If I'm Aaron Rodgers, like, that is a factor in this conversation.
The only time we've seen, what's the Groundhog's Day? What's it called? Punxsutawney Phil?
Punxsutawney Phil.
He came out and talked to McAfee and just raved about the Steelers teammates and then went back into his hole. Right. So, like, I don't know, but he raved about Pittsburgh.
It meant 6 more weeks of waiting.
That's what it was.
We'll find out. I hope he doesn't walk out there Thursday night and announce it. I really do. I'm forgetting everything else. That would.
It's so orchestrated.
Look, this is a night that is about those 32 young men and their families, and they've worked their whole lives for this moment. It should be about them. I hope. Whatever else plays out here, I hope that's not what winds up happening. We'll go back to the Knicks and Hawks.